Hello, comic book community. Joe here, and you are watching 360 Comics. It's been a while since I put out a speculation video, so I decided to put together a list of 10 books, 10 Marvel keys that I think have some serious potential with the future of the MCU. We had our very first Whatnot sale last night, and tonight on Instagram, we're going to be picking winners for our first two Whatnot giveaways, and it is my pleasure to announce our 1,500 YouTube subscriber giveaway. You can win this copy right here of The Incredible Hulk 377. It's a first print. It's the first appearance of Professor Hulk, and all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up for a like, and leave a comment down below. That gets you one entry. Now, come back all through March and April until we hit 1,500 subscribers, and for every video we put out and you like and comment on, you get an additional entry, so make sure you turn on notifications, check out all those videos for your best chance of winning. Before we get into our list, I want to apologize really quickly. I know that one of the things that you all say that you like most about my videos is that I have the books on display next to me. Unfortunately, given that I just moved and all my stuff is still packed up, I don't have the books on hand available for this video, so I'm going to be using pictures this time, but I do own all of these books. I'm always authentic with my speculation videos, and I don't really show things that I'm not buying myself. That's very important to me. So for next time, we'll definitely have the actual books, but for now, we're going to go with pictures. In addition to that, I just want to remind you guys that nothing in this video should be considered financial advice. Speculation can be very risky, and this video is just me talking about my thoughts on the hobby that we all love. Kicking off our list, we've got my favorite superhero team of all time, the X-Men, and the book we're talking about is X-Men Annual number 4. Now, the annuals, I feel like they get overlooked all the time, both for reading purposes and for key significances. And I think the reason, or at least one of the reasons for that is, on Key Collector, you don't see the annuals listed among the rest of the books from the regular part of the run. You search up in Uncanny X-Men, and you see all the regular books, but you have to search up Uncanny X-Men Annuals to get these books. So, for that reason, I think that these are overlooked, underloved, overshadowed, all that stuff. Think about the first appearance of Gambit, which is X-Men Annual 14. It's completely overshadowed by his second appearance in X-Men 266. I know there's some chronology issues with that, but yeah, it's a big difference in prices on those two books. So back to the topic. I digress. X-Men Annual 4. This is a double key, and you know I love those double keys because they have a better chance of popping because two different things could help out here. First of all, and my favorite, because Nightcrawler is my favorite X-Men, we've got the origin story of Nightcrawler. He doesn't have a lot of books to go off of with his origin story, as opposed to someone like Wolverine, who's got a huge long backstory and tons of books about his life. Yeah, Nightcrawler really doesn't have nearly as many, so the few that are available you'll want to pick up. It has it in this story, and not only that, like I said, it's a double key. We've got the first meeting of the X-Men and Doctor Strange. Now, we saw the trailer. We heard him. You guys heard him. I heard him. We all heard him. That was Patrick Stewart's voice in the Multiverse of Madness trailer. We're getting Patrick Stewart as Professor X in that movie for sure. I don't think anyone is in denial about that. But will we see the rest of the X-Men, or at least some other X-Men? Maybe, maybe not. Either way, a nice little key to pick up. And this book, really, you can find it. I searched eBay. The most recent sales have been about $15. Super affordable book from the Bronze Age and a double key. I'm grabbing them whenever I see them. Next up, we've got another X-Men Annual book, this time number 13. And this, again, is a multiple key significance book. And I want to give a shout out to my buddy Mike, Pope of Chillytown, on Instagram, because he clued me into this book initially, and then I did a little bit of research and found some other stuff out about it. And Key Collector does not have all that information, so it's definitely something that's under the radar. So Mike came at me about this book and said it's got a story in it where the the Celestials rather, implant the mutant gene in the human race, and that is the origin of mutants. Well, we're getting mutants in the MCU. Something's got to explain how they got here and all that stuff. So this could possibly be a story now that we have the Eternals and the Celestials in the MCU officially. Is it definitely this story that they're going to go off of? No, not for sure, but it might be. The other key attributes of this book that Mike pointed out is that it's the second appearance of Jubilee. And, Jubilee, pretty significant X-Men character, especially if you're like me and grew up in the 90s with the Jim Lee X-Men run and the X-Men animated series. So I really like this character. I see a lot of potential for this character. If Marvel goes for playing on some nostalgia stuff here. And not only that, but doing a little research after Mike brought these things up to me, we realized that it's also the first cover appearance of Jubilee. Now, she's in a little blurb at the bottom. It's just her face in a little circle, like sometimes appears to show what's going on in this book. But it's still a cover appearance, and she doesn't have a lot of cover appearances in the early part of her runs with X-Men. So I think this is a great one to pick up. Like I said, triple key here, and definitely some potential given the character as well as the story. The third and final X-Men book on this list is New X-Men number 133. For those of you who don't know, the 90s X-Men run eventually changed its name to New X-Men at issue 114 when Grant Morrison took over writing duties. Now, he introduced so many incredible characters, some of which we've seen already and some we haven't. I believe a lot of them have potential, but this character in particular stands out to me for multiple reasons. Her name is Dust. Her first appearance is right here in issue 133, and it's got a great cover, which definitely helps with just her eyes showing. And the reason just her eyes are showing is because she is a Muslim character who wears the traditional Muslim religious garb, therefore covering her entire body other than her eyes. Now, that being said, Marvel is definitely going, for inclusion and representation. They're trying to give everyone a voice and a character that people can relate to. So for that reason, I think this character would be the perfect inclusion for the MCU, and a great character at that. She could turn her body into kind of like a sand dust kind of thing, very similar to Sandman, but a little bit more like less like a solid and more like almost like a cloud of dust. And I think it's a really cool thing that she can do. And the Sandman's been used. We've seen him, in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, and then we saw him recently for a little bit in No Way Home. This is a way to include a similar power without rehashing that character again. And we've got the aspect of who she is, her backstory and stuff. She fled from, I believe, Afghanistan, if I'm correct, because she was being prosecuted there. Something in real life that has been going on for a long time, and it just really incorporates the mutants' fight for equality with things that we find in real life in our world, and I think that's really great. So for that reason, I'm picking up this book. I'm holding on to copies of this, and hopefully she shows up. Next up, we got a book that almost zero people are talking about, Sleepwalker number 3. And this features the first appearance of Cobweb. And if you haven't heard of Cobweb, you are definitely not alone. This is a much, much lesser known character than the other characters on this list. And the reason that I'm putting it here is I think that we might be seeing this character in Multiverse of Madness. Now, take a look right here. This is a picture of what Cobweb looks like. And this right here is a picture from the Multiverse of Madness trailer. I'm not 100% sure. I can't say for certain, but it seems like that might be the same character. And given that this is a character from Sleepwalker, and we've seen Sleepwalker in the toys for Multiverse of Madness, in the toy collection. Maybe it was the Legos. I forget exactly. I think it was the figures, actually, the Marvel Legends figures. Maybe this is the character that's coming, and this book is in dollar bins everywhere. In fact, I bought about 10 copies out of dollar bins over the last couple months, and I'm going to keep doing so until, the movie comes out and we find out either way. So definitely look out for this one. I think it's that character, but again, I'm not certain. And it might just be a combination of a couple characters like we've seen done many times in the MCU. Now on to the oldest book on this list. We've got Marvel Super-Villains Team-Up #1. This is a collaborative effort between Submariner, Namor, and Doctor Doom, two of the big baddies of the MCU. Originally really going up against the Fantastic Four in the single-digit part of their run. But they were cemented into the Marvel Universe and have gone up against everyone from Spider-Man to Wakanda and Black Panther and all that stuff. So will we see that in the MCU? I am without a doubt certain that we're going to see these two characters show up, but will they team up is the question. And, that's really up for debate. This book, given that it's not really a first appearance or anything like that, it's an affordable book. But that being said, it is a little bit older, so it's pricier than some of the books on this list and probably harder to find as well. It's got a great cover. And like I said, potential in the MCU. I could see these two characters teaming up against the Fantastic Four, teaming up against Wakanda in a War of Nations kind of thing. Atlantis recruits Doctor Doom to fight the nation of Wakanda. Definitely a possibility. So we're gonna have to wait and see for that one, but I'll be holding on to this book for sure until the time comes. Speaking of Wakanda, this next book is a big heavy hitter for the Black Panther side of the MCU, Wakanda and everything. We've got Black Panther #1 from Volume 2, the Marvel Knights volume from the late 90s. And this features the first appearance of the Dora Milaje, and not only that, but the first appearance of Zuri as well. Not Shuri. Don't get confused. Not the sister of Black Panther, but Zuri, an elder in Wakanda. These characters are going to probably be driving a lot of the Wakanda-based story because we're not really sure what's up with the future of the Black Panther character, given that we lost Chadwick Boseman. And there's a lot of people speculating on Shuri or M'Baku or Killmonger or even this new character, Tosin, who's appeared very recently in the comics. I'm not sure what is exactly happening, but these characters are already cemented in the MCU, and I think they're going to expand on them a lot more and have them drive the Wakanda train from here on out. And, not only that, but there are some rumors about a Wakanda-based show on Disney Plus, a series. So if that does happen, I think we're going to get some backstories and some real focus on these characters. So let's look out for that. Either way, you can find this book. I found it a couple times recently. I picked up a couple copies and you saw me post it on Instagram. It's a good one and it's out there. Bear with me for this next book here because I know you've seen it on a bunch of other videos probably. A lot of people are talking about this one, but we've got some additional information that may make this book even more special, an even better spec book, and we like to see that. We like multiple keys. Now, obviously, this is new Agents of Atlas #1, the first appearance of this Agent of Atlas team. And for those of you who don't know, this is an all-Asian superhero team, all from different countries in Asia with different heritages, and really great team as far as diversity and things go. As far as giving representation. And, not only that, but a really cool team of some awesome characters. Now, a lot of people have been buying this book for that reason, but there's something a little bit more special, and that's that this is the first cover appearance of Swordmaster. In my opinion, it's kind of like a cameo, because he doesn't have a cameo appearance, and he's not in this book at all. But he is in the next book as his first appearance, but he's on the cover of this one because they introduce the whole team, but they don't introduce the character until the second book. Now, the second book of the run, a lot more expensive, probably about twice as much. This one, you can find for $40 or less. I recently picked up a couple copies for $20 to $30, and I was really happy about that because I think this book has some potential for that reason. But we got some recent news about Swordmaster. For those of you who aren't up to date on current comic runs, issue #1 of Iron Fist shows us that Swordmaster has taken over the role of Iron Fist. And I'm thinking they might utilize that in the MCU to not erase really, but replace the Iron Fist that was from the Netflix television show, who appeared in his own series as well as Defenders. Not very critically acclaimed. People did not, like that representation of the character, didn't really like the show, bunch of things came together to make it not so great. And what they might do, since they want to utilize the other characters, they might replace that Iron Fist with this new one. I think it would be really cool, and that might be why they wrote that into the comics as a precursor to it happening in the MCU. Now, that being said, we're not sure about this, but again, this is a double key. So if either of these things kind of pops off, maybe we will see it happening, and maybe one of these events will trigger this book to go up in value. For that reason, I think it is a great one to pick up, even at its current price, which is actually pretty high. Speaking of the Defenders, our next book on the list is Defenders #1 from Volume 5. It just came out a couple years ago, but take a look at this cover and think about the Marvel Netflix shows. This is the same Defenders team, and this is the first appearance of this Defenders team together in a Marvel comic. They're on the cover, all displayed really nicely, and they even look like their television show counterparts, which I think is really great in making that connection. Now, we got Luke Cage, we got Iron Fist, Daredevil, Jessica Jones. So far, we've seen Daredevil transcend Netflix and Disney and come on over into the MCU in Spider-Man No Way Home. We haven't seen either of the other three yet, but I'm thinking it's going to happen. We got word about a month ago that those shows, those properties were leaving Netflix, and the day they announced that, I made a prediction that they were going to be showing up on Disney Plus sooner rather than later. I'm sure it took a little bit to get the legal kinks worked out, but we got an announcement this week that they are going to be available on Disney Plus on, I believe, March 16th, so later this month. That being said, I'm excited to rewatch them there, and I think that those characters are going to come on over to the MCU, at least Jessica Jones, if not Luke Cage as well. And you heard what I said about Iron Fist. I think it's going to be a new one, but we'll have to wait and see. Either way, this book's in dollar bins. I picked up a couple copies, never paid more than $1 for it. It's out there. Look for it. I think it's a great grab, and it's an awesome cover at that. The last two books on this list are both Spider-Man. You saw this one in the beginning of the video because I recently picked up a copy and I knew where it was. We got The Amazing Spider-Man number 212. This is the first appearance of Hydro Man. Now, if you remember a couple years ago, back when we were getting trailers for Spider-Man Far From Home, the second Tom Holland movie, we saw a water elemental-esque character, and a lot of people were speculating that this was Hydro Man. I believe there was like a fire-based one as well. People were thinking that it was Molten Man, and was there a sand one or something like that? People thought it was Sandman. I forget exactly, but I remember there being one that might have been Hydro Man. Well, it turns out those were all illusions created by Mysterio, who ended up being the villain for that movie. And the price of this book went up when there was some speculation and crashed back down. It is a very affordable key from the Bronze Age. In fact, you can pick it up for kind of like in the $25 to $30 range for a pretty significant Spider-Man key. And I was really surprised to look up 9.8s and see them in the $300 to $400 range. This book's from 1980, and it's a pretty decent sized Spider-Man key with a great villain that's been around for a long time. And I was really surprised to see the affordable price point. If you're into 9.8s, that's definitely one to pick up. Now, that being said, I've always talked about how they need to expand Spider-Man's rogues gallery in the MCU and things like that, and not rehash the same characters over and over again. This would be a great one to take up, and maybe we'll see like some kind of Molten Man, Hydro Man collaboration kind of thing going on in the future. That'd be pretty cool. Some of those elemental characters, but either way, it's just a great Bronze Age key that's really never going to lose a lot of value in comparison to what it could be if the character does show up eventually. Last but not least on this list is Spider-Man number 47 from the 1990s run. It's got this great Hobgoblin cover, but even more importantly than that, we've got the first appearance of the Grim Hunter. Now, he's the son of Kraven the Hunter, and we know we're getting a Kraven movie as early as next year. That's what I'm hearing. I'm pretty surprised about that because not a lot of details have come out yet, but we know it's starring Aaron Taylor Johnson, who formerly played Quicksilver in the MCU, in the Avengers movies, Age of Ultron. That being said, it's interesting that some actors are playing more than one character. Speaking of actors, we did get an announcement this week that Calypso is going to be in the movie. They announced who's playing her. So there's definitely a possibility of some Kraven-related characters, such as Grim Hunter, coming into this film. Now, there was a recent spike of a book of another Kraven child, I believe, that it spiked up like crazy. But this book, for some reason, is still out there. I'm seeing it go on eBay for $5 typically. And for that reason, it's one with a lot of potential, a good one to pick up, a really low buy-in. And if that character shows up, especially if Sony and the MCU eventually collide, and those characters are brought in to the greater MCU, I think that would be phenomenal, a good choice on Sony's part, as well as, on Disney's part. So, like I said, we don't know that this character is showing up for sure or anything like that, but we are for sure getting Kraven on the big screen. Why not have his kid, even before he becomes the Grim Hunter, just as the child of Kraven, maybe in a childhood setting? It would be cool to see, and they could really develop the character. Kraven has a ton of backstory to him and has been around since issue 15 from the 1960s. So, obviously, we've got Kraven's Last Hunt, one of the great storylines. I hope they continue to develop this character and put out more movies. And, there's definitely some potential for his family members to show up if they don't in this first movie. Thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, give us a thumbs up for a like, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about the picks on this list, and maybe share some of your speculation insight with me. Make sure you follow on Instagram for giveaways and live sales there, and on Whatnot as well, where we'll be hopefully doing some more live sales in the future. And if you don't have a Whatnot, hit that link down below. You can get a free $10, and I get $10 too, so we all win if you sign up using my referral link down there. Like I said, hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, turn the page, wash your hands.